welcome back to the 2018 Granny Square Crochet Along. Today we are making this flower patch square. You've probably already guessed it, this pattern is worked in rows. So you're going to start by chaining 25. 1, 2. Okay, so we're going to do a row of double crochet. And this row of double crochet we're going to do in the 4th chain, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So your first 3 chains will count as your first double crochet. So go into that 4th chain, do a double crochet, and then a double crochet in the next, and in the next, and keep going all the way along in every chain, right the way to the end, including that one with a slip knot. I know some of you might not be too familiar with working in rows, so I'm just going to that one with your slip knot, and then you'll have your chain plus 23. Okay, so I can't quite remember whether I told you 23 or 24. So you will have in total, including this chain as a double crochet, you will have in total 23 double crochet. Okay, 22 stitches plus your chain 3. Let's make that clear when we start, because if we don't start with the right amount of double crochets, then it will throw off the whole pattern. Okay, so do make sure that you count those before you continue. So now for row 2, we are going to start the foundation for our flower petals. So we are going to turn your work over and then chain 3. And then you're going to skip this first stitch, so that's this stitch right here at the base of the chain 3, and you're going to do this on every row. When it's every row that we do double crochets, you're going to skip that first stitch, because if you go into there, it's going to be like adding an extra. This chain comes from there and counts as your first. Okay, let's get that clear at the start as well. Okay, so you're going to skip this very first stitch and then go into the next stitch with a double crochet, and then into the next 7, so we're doing 8 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 double crochets, and then you are going to chain 2, 1, 2, double crochet in the very next stitch. Now you're going to skip 3 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, and do a double crochet in the 4th stitch along. Okay, so you've got 3 stitches here that you've missed, and then you are going to do another chain 2, and then you're going to do a double crochet in the next 8 stitches. So your double crochet is coming out of here, so you're going to go into the next one and do 8 double crochets. 1, 2, some more yarn, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you're going to do a final double crochet in the top chain of this chain 3. So go into your top one, ideally under 2 bars, it just makes it stand better. So you've got 1 bar on the back and 2 bars here. You can see there's 2 bars there. Do your double crochet there, and that makes it line up quite nicely on that side. If you can see that there, it lines up quite nicely. So there we go, this is what we've got going on so far. So this chains and double crochets have made this so far. Okay, next row, you're going to Next row, you're going to turn your work over and do a slip stitch. Sorry, a slip stitch, a chain 3. I'm skipping ahead to the next row. Okay, so chain 3, and then as before, you're going to skip the first stitch, do a double crochet into the next, and a double crochet into the next 7. So you'll have 8 altogether, just as we did on the last row. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8. This last one might be a bit tricky because it's next to your chain space, but just go under there, do your 8th stitch, and then you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to do a double crochet in between these 2 double crochets from the previous row. So just go in between here and do a double crochet so it stands up in the middle like so, and then you are going to chain 2, chain 2, and then you're going to do 8 more double crochets starting in this first stitch here. This is your chain 2 space, and then you've got your first double crochet here, so into there, oops, and 8 double crochets. I've done 2 yarn overs there. There we go, 1, 2, oops, 3, 4. I'll meet you at the end of this row. Okay, so you've done 8 double crochets, and then your last one in the top chain of your chain 3, so that will be your 9th double crochet in the top there. There we go. Now, to join your new colour, you need your work on the right side. So if you're right-handed, the easiest way, if you can't quite tell the difference between the front and the back of your stitches, then you will have, if you're right-handed, your slip knot tail will be on the left, and your tail from where you've just fastened off will be on the left as well. If you're left-handed, they will be on your right. Okay, so if you're right-handed, it will be on the left. If you're left-handed, it will be on the right. So that's how I always know. Tails on the left is my right side. Okay, that's because I'm right-handed. Okay, so you want to join it on the on this first stitch, which actually is the top of your chain 3. So go into the top of your chain 3 and then join your colour in with a slip stitch. Okay, so join it in with a slip stitch, and then you're going to do a single crochet in that very same stitch. So single crochet in that same chain, and then you're going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches. Single crochet the next 8 stitches. So okay, this is where you could come unstuck. Make sure now your next stitch that's obvious is this one here. Okay, you can see those 2 bars quite nicely, but you've got a stitch here, and because you've gone into your chain, it kind of distorts this here, and that happens quite a lot in our work. So just make sure you are going into that stitch there. Okay, don't leave that one behind, as I nearly did. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and your 8th stitch should be the one right at the end of your double crochets. So we've got this so far, and now we are going to start our flower. So 2 single crochets in this chain space, chain 1, and then we're going to do our flower. So you're going to yarn over, and each petal is going to be made around one of these bars. Okay, so so I'm right-handed, so we're going to turn our work upright, just fold it over a bit so you can get to your bar, and do, let me just double check what we're doing. Okay, 4 double crochet around this bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just scooch those along a little, and then you're going to do a half double crochet and a single crochet all around that bar, and that's what you have so far. You have this, okay, and then you're going to do a chain 3, and then if you bring your work back up, you've got your next bar here, so just turn your work slightly, and I like to sort of grab hold of this bar so I know what I'm doing, and then you're going to do exactly the same, 4 double crochet around this bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, so you're starting furthest away from you and coming closer into yourself, okay, 4 double crochet, 1 half double crochet and a single crochet, and then chain 3, okay. So it's going to bunch up slightly, but that's what makes the flower. So then you are going to turn your work a little. Just got a bit of a tangle going on, excuse me. So turn your work a little, so you've got this next bar ready to work around. And you are going to do exactly the same, 4 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochet. Move that one out of the way. I have a tendency to catch the top. 4 double crochet, 1 half double crochet and 1 single crochet, chain 3, and then move around to your next bar and do exactly the same, 4 double crochet, 1 half double crochet, single crochet, chain 3, and then move around to your final bar and do exactly the same, and then do a chain 2, not a chain 3, and I'll see you once you've done that chain 2. Okay, so when all your petals are complete like so, and you've done a chain 2, not chain 3, you're going to go into this chain 1 space here, the one just before your first petal. Go into there and do a slip stitch, and that is your first petal completed. You've got some of your original colour showing through there, but there's your first flower completed. Not as difficult as it sounds. So you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to continue your row by doing 2 single crochets in this space behind. And you're going to do a single crochet in the top of each of these double crochets along, which will be 8, so 8 single crochets, and then a single crochet in the top of this final one here. So actually 9 single crochets, and I'll see you at the end of the row. Okay, so when you've finished your flower row, it should look a bit like this. Looking good, looking good. So you're going to fasten off this colour now, if you're changing colour that is. If I just bring this back in. So you've done your first flower row, and then we're going to be doing another middle row now with 2 flowers. So I'm going to change to my purple for my middle row, and fasten this off, and then join your new colour into your very first stitch over on this side, on the right side. So on the right side of our work, join in this very first stitch. So obviously if you're wanting to keep with the same colour, then you just need to fasten off here and rejoin at this other end, okay? And once you've joined your new colour, we're going to do a row of double crochet, but I'll take you through that because we've got some chain spaces and things here. So chain 3 in this first stitch here, and then you're going to, as before, skip this first stitch because we've got the chain, so go into the second stitch and do a double crochet, and all the way along 9 more double crochet. So I will see you 9 double crochets later. Okay, so you should have 10 double crochets plus your starting chain, and then you are going to do a double crochet in the top of this chain 1 space where you started your flower, and then you're going to go back to the other side of the flower and do 11 double crochets all the way along, 11 double crochets to the end. I'll meet you at the end. Okay, if you're not sure where your first stitch starts, because you've sort of got this chain space and different things going on here, so if you're not quite sure, then just start at your final stitch and count back. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So that means we're missing this part here, so just go into your first stitch there with a double crochet and then work all the way to the end, and I will see you, as I said, at the end. So 11 double crochets later, and this is what we've got going on. Loving my colours here. I don't think I've put these colours together before, but loving it. Okay, so you are going to turn your work. We're going to set up for another flower row. So I'm getting myself in a tangle. Okay, so you're going to chain 3. Oops. Right, shall we start again? Chain 3. Obviously that's your first double crochet, so you're going to miss that very first stitch, and then you're going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 2, and then you're going to chain 2, double crochet in the next stitch. Sorry, stopping my pattern from going off of the screen. Okay, then you're going to skip 3 stitches and do a double crochet in the 4th. So 1 2 3, double crochet in the 4th stitch. Chain 2, then a double crochet in the next 7 stitches. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7, and then you're going to chain 2, double crochet in the next stitch, skip 3 stitches and double crochet in the next. 1 2 3, double crochet in the 4th, and then chain 2, double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and in the top of your chain 3, double crochet. If it's got a bit tight, just give it a wiggle around, give it some encouragement, or even use a smaller hook to get through that hole if you need to. So there we go, we've started the setup for our next row of flowers. So turn your work over, let's grab some more yarn, and we are going to do the next row. So next row starts with a chain 3, 1 2 3, skip that first stitch as usual, and a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1 2, my yarn splitting there, it's 2 stitches. Okay, then you're going to chain 2, do a double crochet between these 2 double crochets here, as we did on our previous flower round. Chain 2, double crochet in the next 7 stitches. So this very first one here next to your space, so that's your first one. So 7 stitches. What am I doing? Just 2 strands, just 2. Don't you love it when your yarn's got a mind of its own? Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Just showing you that we all have problems. There we go. Okay, 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Oh, I have to laugh at myself. And then you're going to chain 2. Oh, I can't even get my hook the right way around now. Chain 2, and then you are going to do a double crochet between these 2 double crochet here, just as we did at the other end. Chain 2, and then you're going to do a double crochet in the next 2 stitches and 1 in the top of your chain. So next 2 stitches, if I can even do this. You know when you feel like you've lost it? There we go, and 1 in the top of your chain. So if you can wiggle it through, or maybe you've done your chains bigger than I have. There we go. There we go. Done. There is your flower setup row. Looking good. So you're going to finish off this colour. Well, if you're changing colour for your flowers, finish off this colour and rejoin your new colour in the top of your chain down here. Okay, so I fastened off my purple, and then back on this end of the row on my right side, I've joined my new colour with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to do a single crochet into that stitch and the next 2. So 3 single crochets, and then you have your chain 2 space, and in there you're going to do 2 single crochets and a chain 1, and then you're going to make your flower exactly as you did down here. So I'll remind you of 1 petal and then I'll leave you to do the rest. So yarn over and do 4 double crochet over this first bar. Just fold this down so you can work on that bar. So 2, 3, 4 double crochet, a half double crochet, oops, try that one again, a half double crochet and a single crochet, and then chain 3. Bring your work up, move around to this next bar, which is this one here. Work from furthest away, moving in towards you. Start off with a double crochet around that bar and do 4 double crochets around this bar. So your 4 double crochets, a half double and a single. Chain 3, do your next one, chain 3, then your next one, chain 3, then your next one, and then chain 2, and I will join you back after you've done all of those petals and your last chain 2. And when you've done your final chain 2 after your petal, just go into your first chain 1 by your first petal and do a slip stitch, and there's your first petal finished. So working along the row, you're going to do 2 single crochets in this chain 2 behind that petal. Let's try that again. I'm going to blame the weather today. So warm. 2 single crochets and then single crochet in the next 7 stitches and chain 1. Sorry, single crochet into the next 7 and then 2 single crochets in your chain space and then chain 1. And then you're going to start your next flower exactly the same as here. exactly the same. Okay, and then I'll meet you after you finish that flower to finish off the row. So do your chain 2 slip stitch into your chain 1 space by your first petal, and then do your 2 single crochets in this chain space and 3 single crochets along and fasten off. Okay, so join your new colour in the first stitch of the right side, and then you're going to do a chain 3, miss that first stitch as always, and then you're going to double crochet 4 stitches, and then you're going to do a double crochet in your chain 1 space, and then double crochet the next 11, 1 in the chain 1 space, and the next 5. So it's 4, 11, 5, and the 2 chain 1s. And I'll see you back at the end of the row, and you should have 23 double crochets by the end, including this chain. Okay, I'll see you at the end of the row. And 23 double crochets later, you are going to have this going on. So turn your work, chain 3, 2, 3, and skip that first stitch, do a double crochet in the next 8, and then chain 2. So double crochet in 8 and then chain 2. Okay, so 8 double crochets, then chain 2, do a double crochet in the next stitch, skip 3 stitches and double crochet into the 4th, chain 2, and then double crochet into the next 8 stitches and the top of the chain 3, so 9 double crochets. Finish that row and then turn your work, chain 3, and then work into the next 8 stitches a double crochet. And when you get to the end of that row, fasten off and then rejoin your new colour in the start of this end of the right side, or rejoin the same colour over here. And when you have your new colour joined, do a single crochet in your first stitch and the next 8 stitches. So you've got 9 single crochets along here, 2 single crochets in your chain space, chain 1, and then start your last flower. You've done 3 flowers now, so hopefully you should remember how to do that. When you've done your flower, do a chain 2 and join in to the top of your chain 1 as you did down here, and then you're going to work a single crochet. No, you're not going to. Anyway, do your flower and I'll see you back after your flower. Okay, when you've done your slip stitch in your chain 1 space after your last petal, you are going to do 2 single crochets in this chain space behind, and then you're going to do 9 single crochets along to the end of the row and fasten off. Okay, so here's our square looking really pretty now. So the pattern tells us that we are now supposed to do a double crochet row of any colour on the top here. Okay, I haven't done that on my original square because it just kind of gives you an odd bit of, you know, something that doesn't really match in with my symmetry. I know this orange doesn't really match in with the symmetry, but I'm a bit of a rebel, don't always follow the rules. So if you want to follow the pattern is now to join your colour in this stitch here at the first stitch here and do a row of double crochet. Okay, so chain 3 and a row of double crochet, and that's the end of that part of the pattern other than the border. So if you want to follow the pattern to the letter, then that is how you're going to do it. If you want to do it the way that I'm doing it, so I bring in this colour down to the bottom here as well, so we have it at the top and the bottom, then you're going to need to join your colour. You're going to need to turn this upside down so that you have it on the right side. Turn it upside down, join your colour into the bottom of your stitch. Okay, so it will be this bottom couple of bars here. Okay, so it's kind of like you're going back into your chain really, and then you're going to do a single crochet in every stitch along. Do a single crochet, and then you can fasten off. That's as simple as it is. So do either your double crochet row or your single crochet row at the bottom from the right side, and then we'll do the border. Okay, so you can see now, this is why this makes me happy to do the same colour at the bottom, that it's pretty symmetrical now. But by all means, you know, it's a beautiful pattern, and that double crochet edge is fine. Okay, so what you need to do now is the border round, and if you haven't been working over your tails, I've worked over some that I could, but it's just not always possible to do it neatly on all of the rows. So before you do your border round, because you can work over some of these on your border, but it's just going to get really thick. If you try and work over all of these, it's going to get really thick and bulky. So what I suggest is you sew in your ends before you do your border, so that it's all nice and neat. Or certainly most of the ends. When you're sewing in your ends though, don't sew them into these edge stitches, okay, because you're going to need to be sewing on these for your border. So do it along and around all of this body of the work, but not along the edges, okay. And again up here, don't do it along any of these edges, because it will make it a little harder for you to do your border. Okay, so that's the sewing in of those, and I'm not going to show you the border round because this video is quite long already. So what you're going to do is join your colour, whatever colour you choose. It could be one of these colours or a new colour, so I might choose to do my purple just to bring that in around the edge. So you're going to join it in a corner, and you're going to do one stitch along every stitch, a single crochet. So that means 23 single crochets along. In your last stitch for your corner, you're going to do 3 single crochets to make your corner. So one of them will be this count as a stitch for this side, one of them will count as a stitch for this side here, and one will just be the corner. So coming down this side, you are going to have 22 unless you sneak in another stitch somewhere, which I would suggest in the middle here. You're going to work 2 single crochets around each of these, chain 3 or double crochet. So you're going to work 2 stitches around those. Okay, so 2, 2, 2, and then 1 in your single crochet side, and then 2, 2, 2, or do 3 in the center here, that would work. And then 2, and then 1, 2, 2, 2, and then coming down to your corner, you're going to do 3 in there again. Work along here the 23, 3 in this corner, and then all the way back up the side, and join with a slip stitch in this corner here, and you will finish up with something that looks like this. Now mine's a little bit misshapen, I need to sort of pull it out and block it, but you will end up with something a bit like this. You might have that double crochet edge there, and that's fine. And that's our flower patch square. Love it. So if you found this useful, don't forget, give us a thumbs up and a like, and subscribe if you haven't. All the details of everything you might need to know are in the description box below. And until next time, just keep hooking and don't let your tea get cold.